Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that getting rich is not a matter of luck, background, or even hard work? What if wealth wasn't something you had to chase, but something that naturally flowed to you? For most people, the idea of getting rich seems complicated, distant, something reserved for the lucky few. But the truth is, wealth is not created by external effort alone. It begins in the mind. Your beliefs, your assumptions, and the way you see yourself determine your financial destiny. You don't need more hours in the day, more connections, or even more skills. What you truly need is a shift in consciousness. The wealthy are not simply those who have money, they are those who have assumed wealth in their minds long before it manifested in their lives. Tonight, I want to show you why getting rich is not just possible, it's super easy when you understand the unseen forces that shape your reality. Money does not come to those who chase it desperately. It comes to those who align their minds with the reality of being rich. Every fortune, every great success story, and every breakthrough in wealth has first been conceived in thought before it appeared in the physical world. The foundation of wealth is not external effort, but internal certainty. Your mind is the source of everything you experience. The ideas you hold about yourself, your financial status, and the world around you determine how money flows into your life. If you believe wealth is difficult to attain, it will be. If you believe that money is elusive, it will always slip through your fingers. But if you assume that riches are natural, inevitable, and already yours in the unseen realm, they will manifest effortlessly. Everything in life follows the direction of your dominant thoughts. The poor remain poor not because of circumstances, but because of deep-seated beliefs that reinforce their condition. If one truly believes they are meant to struggle, the world will provide endless proof to support that assumption. They will find themselves stuck in jobs that barely cover expenses, facing unexpected costs and witnessing missed opportunities, all because their inner world demands it. On the other hand, those who are wealthy are not simply people who work harder, they are people who thought differently. They operate from a state of mind that assumes abundance. They do not doubt whether money will come, they know it is already theirs. Their subconscious mind directs them to the right people, the right opportunities, and the right circumstances that align with their inner sense of wealth. Look at the world around you. Every invention, every towering skyscraper, every booming business was first conceived in the mind of someone who saw it as real before it existed. The billionaire entrepreneur did not wait for proof before believing in his success. He believed first, and then the world conformed. The struggling worker, however, believes he is trapped in financial hardship, and so he remains there, never realizing that his thoughts are the very chains that bind him. Most people try to change their external world without changing their internal world, and this is why they fail. They take action from a place of lack, from a belief that they must struggle, and they wonder why riches remain out of reach. But when the mind shifts, when a person assumes wealth, feels wealth, and sees themselves as wealthy, the external world follows effortlessly. Wealth does not start with money, it starts with belief. The moment you know you are rich, the path to riches reveals itself. There is a hidden power that shapes every event in your life, a force so subtle, yet so absolute that it governs your wealth, relationships, and success. This power is the law of assumption. It states that whatever you assume to be true in your mind, whatever reality you persistently dwell upon, must manifest in your external world. Most people live their lives reacting to circumstances, believing that they are at the mercy of luck, fate, or the economy. They assume wealth is something outside of them, something they must chase, earn, or struggle for. But this is an illusion. The truth is, your assumptions create your reality. What you mentally accept as true will harden into fact. Think about it. Everything you experience today is the direct result of past assumptions. The job you have, the money in your bank account, the lifestyle you live, all of it is a reflection of your dominant beliefs. If you assume money is difficult to acquire, your life will prove that assumption correct. You will encounter endless obstacles, financial struggles, and missed opportunities. You will confirm your belief through experience, not realizing that you yourself set those limitations in motion. Now consider those who seem to attract wealth effortlessly. It is not luck, nor is it simply hard work. Their secret is assumption. They do not question whether they will be rich. They assume it as an unshakable truth. They do not wait for evidence or external validation. Instead, they persistently dwell in the feeling of being wealthy, and as a result, life conforms to their belief. The law of assumption does not concern itself with whether something is currently true or not. It only responds to what you accept as true. This is why a person can go from poverty to wealth seemingly overnight. Because the moment they truly assume riches as their reality, the world must rearrange itself to match that assumption. People often confuse assumption with wishful thinking. Wishing for wealth implies that it is separate from you, that it exists somewhere in the distance, just out of reach. But assumption is different. It is a deep, unwavering knowing that wealth is already yours. It is the conviction that regardless of appearances, you are already living in the state of riches, and the physical world is simply catching up to your internal reality. Look at the lives of those who have created vast fortunes. They assumed their success long before it was visible to the world. They carried themselves with the confidence of the wealthy, made decisions as if they were already rich, and maintained an inner state that reflected abundance. It was not external circumstances that led to their wealth. It was their internal certainty that demanded the external world conform to their vision. Your assumptions are the script by which your life unfolds. If you assume struggle, you will struggle. If you assume effortless wealth, opportunities will appear, ideas will flow, and money will find its way to you through channels you never even considered. The world is simply a mirror, reflecting back to you what you persistently assume to be true. Everything you see, touch, and experience in this world first existed in the unseen realm of imagination. Every great empire, every technological advancement, every vast fortune, before it became a tangible reality, it was first formed in the mind of an individual who dared to see beyond the present moment. The truth that most fail to recognize is this: imagination is not fantasy, nor is it a meaningless escape from reality. It is, in fact, the very foundation of reality itself. The mistake people make is believing that their current circumstances dictate what is possible for them. They look at their bank account, their job, their background, and assume that these external conditions determine their future. But this is entirely backward. The external world is nothing more than a reflection of past imagination. The life you are living today is simply the crystallization of the thoughts and images you have persistently entertained in your mind. Consider for a moment how everything that exists in society was once just an idea. The airplane, the skyscraper, the smartphone, the billion-dollar corporation. These things did not appear randomly. They were first imagined. There was a time when people scoffed at the idea of flight, dismissing it as impossible. But the Wright brothers held the vision of a world where humans could soar through the skies. That vision, unwavering and real in their minds, became the blueprint for what would later manifest into reality. The wealthy understand this truth instinctively. They do not operate from the limitations of what currently is. They operate from the limitless potential of what could be. They imagine themselves as rich, successful, and powerful long before the world sees them as such. Their inner vision is so strong, so unshakable, that it compels reality to conform to it. They do not wait for evidence. They create the evidence through the power of imagination. On the other hand, those who struggle financially often imagine their lack more than they imagine their abundance. They spend their days picturing unpaid bills, debts piling up, and a future filled with struggle. Without realizing it, they are using the power of imagination against themselves. They are constantly affirming their current limitations, reinforcing them until they become undeniable facts in their lives. But these facts were only born from thoughts that could have just as easily been directed toward wealth, success, and prosperity. Imagination is not bound by time, logic, or the constraints of the physical world. It operates in the unseen realm, shaping reality in ways that the rational mind cannot comprehend. The moment you persistently assume a new vision of yourself, one in which you are wealthy, confident, and free, the forces of creation begin working in unseen ways to bring that vision into being. Opportunities you never considered suddenly appear, ideas come to you effortlessly, and circumstances shift in ways that seem almost magical. The only thing preventing most people from experiencing this transformation is their unwillingness to believe in their own power. They dismiss imagination as mere daydreaming, failing to realize that everything they take for granted today was once a mere thought in someone's mind. But those who grasp this secret, who deliberately and persistently imagine themselves as the person they wish to become, will find that reality has no choice but to obey. One of the greatest obstacles to wealth and success is the tendency to become overly attached to present circumstances. Most people live as prisoners of what they see, feel, and experience in the moment. They believe their current financial state defines who they are, and they allow temporary conditions to dictate their beliefs about what is possible. But this is a fundamental mistake. The secret to effortless wealth lies in your ability to detach from your present reality and focus instead on the unseen truth of what is already yours. Look around you. Everything that exists today was once different. Cities were once empty land. Billionaires were once unknown. Businesses that dominate the world today were once just ideas. Circumstances change constantly. Yet most people act as if their current situation is permanent. They see an empty bank account and assume they are destined for poverty. They experience financial struggle and conclude that wealth is beyond their reach. But these external conditions are nothing more than the results of past thinking. They are not fixed. They are not real in the sense that they must continue. They are merely reflections of old assumptions, and like a shadow that shifts with the light, they will change the moment you change within. Detachment does not mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to be controlled by it. It means understanding that what you see today is only a temporary reflection of past thoughts and beliefs, and therefore it has no real power over your future. If you allow yourself to be defined by your circumstances, you will forever be stuck in a cycle of reacting to life rather than creating it. But the moment you detach, when you stop accepting your current financial situation as absolute, you reclaim the power to shape a new reality. Consider the wealthy. They do not look at setbacks as permanent. They do not see temporary losses as defining who they are. They remain mentally unshaken because they understand that external conditions are always shifting to match their inner state. If they face a financial setback, they do not panic. Instead, they persist in the assumption of their wealth, knowing that their external world must eventually align with it. Their ability to detach from present conditions is what allows them to rise above them. Now contrast this with those who struggle. They react to every circumstance with emotion, reinforcing their current reality by constantly focusing on it. If they experience financial difficulty, they dwell on it, worry about it, and talk about it endlessly. In doing so, they unknowingly strengthen the very conditions they wish to escape. They remain trapped, not because of fate or bad luck, but because they are mentally tied to their current situation, unable to see beyond it. Detachment is the ability to see what is happening around you and yet remain unaffected by it. It is the understanding that what you experience now is simply a product of old thoughts, and that by assuming a new reality, circumstances must eventually shift. It is a state of calm confidence, knowing that wealth is already yours in the unseen realm and that the physical world is merely catching up. When you detach, you no longer react with frustration or fear. You no longer seek validation from external proof. Instead, you operate from a deep, quiet knowing that the wealth you desire is already a reality. You stop worrying about how it will come, and you simply assume that it must. And when you reach this state of unwavering belief, the world has no choice but to conform. Most people believe that success and wealth require an exhausting amount of effort, struggle, and relentless force. They push, they grind, they work themselves into the ground, believing that if they just exert enough effort, they will finally break through. But the truth is, those who achieve true, lasting wealth do not do so by force alone. They do so through faith. They understand that wealth is not something to be fought for, it is something to be received. Faith is the quiet, unwavering confidence that what you desire is already yours. It is not hoping, wishing, or waiting anxiously for proof. It is knowing, deep within you, that your wealth exists in the unseen before it appears in the physical world. Those who rely on force alone live in a state of struggle because they are constantly trying to make things happen. But those who operate from faith move with ease because they understand that their belief does the work for them. Consider the person who struggles for money. They work tirelessly, taking on extra shifts, stressing over every expense, and constantly worrying about how they will pay their bills. No matter how much effort they put in, their financial situation never seems to change. Why? Because their dominant state of mind is one of lack, worry, and fear. They believe money is scarce, that they must fight for every dollar, and their life reflects that assumption. Now, look at those who attract wealth effortlessly. They do not chase money, it comes to them. They do not panic over financial obstacles. They remain calm, knowing that solutions will appear. They move through life with a sense of certainty, not because they work harder than everyone else, but because they expect wealth to flow to them naturally. Their faith in their financial success shapes their reality far more than any amount of physical labor ever could. Faith is not passive, it is the most powerful force in creation. It is not sitting idly by waiting for things to change. It is assuming the feeling of wealth now, before there is any physical proof. It is the ability to look beyond current conditions and see only the reality you wish to experience. The moment you truly believe in your wealth, the external world must rearrange itself to match that belief. Force is rooted in doubt. It is the belief that you must make everything happen on your own, that wealth will not come unless you exhaust yourself trying to get it. But faith is rooted in trust. It is the understanding that once you assume wealth in your mind, the path to riches unfolds effortlessly. It is the conviction that the right opportunities, the right ideas, and the right people will appear at the perfect time without struggle or stress. People who rely on force alone often experience temporary success, but it comes at the cost of endless exhaustion, frustration, and fear. They may accumulate money, but they do not experience true abundance because they are always worried about losing what they have. But those who live by faith do not experience wealth as a fleeting achievement. They experience it as a permanent state of being. Their riches are not something they fight for, they are something they expect, something they know is already theirs. The world has taught you that success comes through effort alone, but this is an illusion. The richest people in history were not those who forced their way to wealth, but those who believed in their wealth so completely that the universe had no choice but to deliver it. They understood that faith is not just thinking positively. It is assuming, feeling, and knowing with absolute certainty that what they desire is already theirs. And once they reached that state, wealth could no longer be kept from them. Wealth is not something you chase. It is something you become. The mistake most people make is believing they must first acquire money before they can feel wealthy. They think financial success is something external, something that exists outside of them, something they must struggle to reach. But this is entirely backward. The truth is, your external world is only a reflection of your internal state. To experience wealth in your life, you must first feel wealthy within. Everything in your life right now, your financial situation, your career, your relationships, is a direct reflection of the state of consciousness you dwell in most frequently. If you constantly feel poor, if you constantly worry about money, if you constantly dwell in thoughts of lack, then you will continue to experience a life that mirrors those feelings. But if you shift your inner state, if you begin to embody the feeling of already being rich, your external world must follow. The key to effortless wealth is not endless action, but complete assumption. You must assume the state of wealth as if it were already yours. This does not mean simply thinking about money or visualizing wealth once in a while. It means living in the feeling of being rich, moving through your day as if you already possess everything you desire. It means stepping into the identity of a wealthy person, thinking, acting, and feeling as they would. Most people allow their feelings to be dictated by external circumstances. If they see a low bank balance, they feel anxious. If they experience financial struggle, they feel discouraged. But this is a cycle that traps them in poverty. They are letting the outer world control their inner world, not realizing that the opposite is true. Their inner world creates their outer world. The wealthy do not wait for money to feel abundant. They feel abundant first, and the money follows. If you want wealth, you must first embody it. You must walk through life with the quiet confidence of someone who already has financial freedom. You must feel at ease when thinking about money, knowing that it is always flowing to you. You must see yourself as prosperous, even if your physical world has not yet caught up. Your emotions, your thoughts, your very presence must reflect the assumption that you are rich. Not that you will be rich someday, but that you already are. Think about those who struggle financially. They constantly affirm their lack with their words, their thoughts, and their emotions. They dwell in feelings of worry, stress, and frustration. They focus on unpaid bills, they complain about expenses, and they expect financial difficulties. Without realizing it, they are reinforcing their own poverty by living in the feeling of lack. And as a result, their external world continues to reflect that inner state. Now think about those who attract money effortlessly. They do not stress about finances, even when faced with challenges. They maintain a calm, unshaken confidence, a deep inner knowing that wealth is already theirs. They carry themselves with ease. They expect opportunities. They move through life as if money is a natural part of their existence. And because they dwell in the feeling of wealth, their reality conforms to that assumption. You do not need to wait for external proof before feeling rich. You must feel rich first. You must wake up each morning with the excitement of someone who already has everything they need. You must make financial decisions with the assurance of someone who knows money is always available. You must treat yourself, your home, and your daily life with the care and confidence of someone who is already wealthy. And as you do this, your external reality will shift to match the inner state you have chosen to inhabit. The moment you live in the feeling of wealth, you set in motion forces beyond your comprehension. Doors will open, opportunities will arise, ideas will flow, and money will find its way to you. The world around you has no choice but to reflect the assumption you hold within. If you truly feel wealthy, then wealth is inevitable. Wealth is not something distant, something outside of you, or something reserved for the lucky few. It is a state of mind, a way of being, an assumption that shapes reality itself. The truth is simple yet profound. Your imagination creates your world. Your assumptions dictate your future, and your ability to detach from circumstances allows you to rise above them. Those who chase money will always find it slipping through their fingers, for they are affirming that wealth is separate from them. But those who become wealth, who live in the feeling of abundance, who hold faith over force, who assume their riches with unwavering certainty, will inevitably experience a reality that mirrors their inner state. Everything begins in the unseen. Your current circumstances hold no power over you unless you allow them to. The only thing that matters is the reality you claim as yours in your mind. And the moment you persist in the feeling of already being rich, the world will rearrange itself to match that assumption. You do not need to struggle, you do not need to fight, you only need to become. And once you do, wealth will no longer be something you pursue, it will be something that naturally flows to you effortlessly and abundantly.